Hello, and welcome back to the Misty Morrison podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 37 of Was I in the Wrong? Here on the Misty Morrison podcast, we love to judge, we love to give advice, we love all the petty drama. But before we get into our stories for today, our usual housekeeping, whether you are new or returning, please remember to engage with the content to help the channel grow. Whether you are enjoying on podcast or video on YouTube, please remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, comment your thoughts on the stories down below. I love to know what you think. Share it with a friend if you enjoyed it. All the things. All right, into our stories for today. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/AITA_WIBTA_public. AITA for refusing to give up my grandmother's ring for my cousin's engagement. My grandmother passed 2 years ago and left me, 24 female, a sapphire ring that she always said she wanted me to have. It's not flashy, but it's meaningful to me. My cousin, 26 female, recently got engaged. She and her fiancé are struggling financially, and she asked if she could borrow the ring as her engagement ring until they could afford one. I said no because it's sentimental and I wear it often. Now my aunt is calling me selfish and saying it's just sitting on my finger while my cousin is starting her life. Even my mom thinks I should at least lend it, but I don't want to risk losing it or never getting it back. AITA for refusing to share the ring? No, this is weird. You are right. Lend a ring for an engagement ring? That's insane. Okay, if you can't afford a ring right now, then you just don't wear a ring. Why would you? That ring that you wear on your left finger to symbolize that you are engaged is supposed to be meaningful. A borrowed ring isn't meaningful. This is so weird to me. I understand that it is nice to be able to show that you are engaged with the physical symbol of a ring, yes. Okay, so either go get a silicone ring, get a $20 ring off Amazon that they look really nice. You can get a cheap ring just so you have something to wear. But the audacity of expecting someone to lend you their ring that is meaningful to them, to lend it to you until you can afford the ring of your dreams, no. Now that's weird. Go to Amazon, get a $20 ring until you can afford your apparently like $2,500 ring that I think is what you want. No, I don't think they'd give it back. You have no way to guarantee that they would give it back if you did lend it. You are absolutely right. Do not lend your ring out. She's being entitled. Okay. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/AITA_relationships. AITA for telling my boyfriend I won't take my morning meetings in the living room because of my roommate. I, 28 female, share an apartment with one of my best friends, Sophie, 28 female. We've lived in this apartment for almost 3 years and pay rent equally. My boyfriend Chris, 32 male, often comes every 1 to 2 weeks to visit the apartment and knows my roommate/friend well. She has reconfirmed several times she is okay with his visits as a disclaimer. Both Chris and I work from home while Sophie goes into the office for her job. When Chris comes over, he takes his meetings/works in the living room, which does not overlap with Sophie's hours since she leaves the house around 11 a.m., same time when Chris starts work. I work in my bedroom, so then everyone has their own working space. However, the nature of my latest project requires me to work East Coast hours. We are on Pacific Standard Time, which means 3 out of 5 business days, my first virtual meeting is at 5:36 a.m., and I usually have back-to-back meetings for the next 3 to 4 hours. I lead these meetings, so I do a fair bit of talking. Chris and I have been together for 4 years, so he is well aware of these sometimes strange work hours I have. When Chris is not here, I simply take my meetings in my own room as to not disturb Sophie. When Chris is here, I take my meetings in my own room, and he will put in earplugs the night before. Around 8 a.m., I usually transition meetings to the living room, as that is when Sophie wakes up. However, he has increasingly gotten angry since the early morning meetings are more frequent and says he's losing sleep because of it. I told Chris that taking my morning meetings in the living room, even with headphones and talking softer, would wake Sophie and be inconsiderate as she pays half rent. I don't want her to be resentful of Chris being here and affecting her schedule since she lives here and he is a guest. He says she won't hear me if I lower my voice, and I told him he's making a big assumption she won't. I suggested a few other options to help ensure Chris and I balance sleep and work, but he thought these ideas were ridiculous. 1. Get sleep noise canceling earmuffs/phones, which might help block out the noise more than earplugs. He says this doesn't work since my voice is still heard despite being muffled. 2. Have Chris sleep in the living room once the meeting starts. He said this will interrupt his sleep cycle. 3. Sleep a few hours earlier the night before to ensure a full sleep cycle. Chris normally sleeps around 1 a.m. Ultimately, Chris said I needed to be more considerate of him and his sleep cycle and called me overly sensitive about Sophie. I empathize with his lack of sleep, but I also think I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. AITA for telling my boyfriend I won't take my morning meetings in the living room because of my roommate? No. Like you said, she lives there. He doesn't. He's being very particular with his requests for who does what where in a space that is not his. You've been together for 4 years. That's a long time. Maybe he is starting to feel entitled, but this is not his space, and he doesn't get to decide. If it is inconvenient if it is that inconvenient for his sleep cycle to be disturbed by your work, your necessary work requirements, and you say it's 3 to 4 days a week and it's only sometimes that you have to work on East Coast time, maybe you guys need to plan out your schedule more in advance to where he's not visiting when you have these early morning calls. Honestly, I don't have a lot of sympathy for him. This really sounds like a him problem. It sounds like a problem that he's really not putting in much effort to solve. Like he's basically saying, I want it this way or else. I don't like that. He's not really willing to compromise on anything here. I'm sorry, my voice is leaving again. I don't really know how else you compromise this. I mean, you say he's getting increasingly angry. I mean, it's work. It's not like you're doing this on purpose to be cruel to him. Like, you are just doing your job. Yeah, my best suggestion, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. My best suggestion is he just not come and visit when you have these odd hours. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like you've been pretty flexible, but no, you're right. Sophie is the one that you should be, most considerate of because she lives there. Yeah. You're right, OP. You are not the asshole. Your boyfriend is being unreasonable. All right, story number 3 is coming to us from, I gotta scroll now past some other ones for the next segment. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/AITA_relationships. AITA for expecting my husband to get me a treat. My husband, on his way back home from work, passed a shopping center and asked over the phone if I wanted anything. I said I would really like a treat, but we're broke at the moment, so I can go without. I already feel like I know where this is going, and I'm already floored by the entitlement. By the time I finished talking, he had passed the exit and told me. He stopped to pick our daughter up from daycare, which is right next to a shopping center. When he got home, I find he had bought himself ice cream and me nothing. I've gotten really upset over this, almost in tears and very angry. I asked him why he didn't get me anything, though he knew I wanted something. He said, I didn't know you wanted anything. It was at a different shopping center. Well, I thought you didn't want anything because you could go without. I asked if he could go back. No, I'll get you something tomorrow. I've been without snacks for ages because we were having a tight month, and he buys ice cream for himself knowing I wanted snacks. No, he didn't. He did not know you wanted snacks. You literally said, let me go back and find it. I would really like a treat, but we're broke at the moment, so I can go without. When you said, I can go without, you told him not to get you anything. If you want something, just say it. Just ask for what you want. You didn't do that. You said, oh, I would like something, but I know we can't really afford it, so I don't have to have something. I can go without. It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no, and you didn't give him that. You left him to guess, and when you're leaving someone to guess, they're typically going to go with the last thing that you said, and the last thing that you said was, I can go without. Besides that, if you did want something, you didn't specify what you wanted. You didn't say you wanted ice cream. You didn't say you wanted a bag of chips. You didn't say. So if you guys are on a tight month and you are broke at the moment, why would he risk getting you something that's not what you want, that you're not going to eat, and wasting that money? No. He did the right thing. And actually, when you didn't say that you wanted something, you had the nerve to ask him to go back to the shopping center. He has already been out. He has already been to the shopping center. He has already picked up your child from daycare, and you want him to go back because you were unclear about whether or not you wanted a treat. No, you are being ridiculous. You are wrong. You are being the asshole for expecting him to go back to get you something when you said you could do without. If you were that unwilling to do without, that you were going to get angry and almost cry over it, all you had to do was say, oh yeah, I'd really like an ice cream cone too. Oh, I'd really like a candy bar or a bag of chips. That's all it took. And you couldn't do that, so I don't feel bad for you. No. Make up your mind, make a decision. Yes or no, you want a treat. Exactly what treat do you want? That is not his fault that he can't read your mind. No. Phew. Okay, that one got me a little fired up. Okay, story number 4 is coming to us from r/am I overreacting? AIO for thinking of leaving my boyfriend after he slapped me during an argument. This one is tagged relationship. So I, 26 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 29 male, for about 2 years. We've had our ups and downs, but I always felt like we had good communication. All that changed last weekend. We were arguing about something stupid. Honestly, it started because I wanted to leave a party earlier and he wanted to stay. It escalated in the car on the way home. He started yelling at me for being controlling, and I told him I didn't like being spoken to like that. When we got back to the apartment, I said I was done with the conversation and wanted to sleep it off. That's when he snapped. He grabbed my wrist, and when I tried to pull away, he slapped me across the face. I froze. I was completely shocked. He immediately started apologizing, saying he just lost it and that it would never happen again. The next morning, he acted like it was no big deal and told me I was being dramatic. I tried to explain how unsafe it made me feel, but he brushed it off, saying it was just one mistake. I keep going back and forth in my head. Part of me thinks if he did it once, he'll do it again. Another part of me wonders if I'm giving up. Another part of me wonders if I'm giving up too soon after one terrible night. I know people make mistakes, but this doesn't feel like something I can just forgive and move on from. It feels like a line was crossed that we can't come back from. AIO for considering ending the relationship over this? No. End the relationship. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. Be done here. Everything about this screams a domestic violence situation. Let's go back. I can see there's a gold box comment, but I'm not going to read it yet. Let's go back. Okay, first, red flag. He called you controlling because you wanted to leave early? No, that's not controlling. Let's see. When you got back to the apartment, you said you didn't want to have this conversation anymore. You just wanted to go to sleep. That's fair. That's when he snapped because you wanted to go to sleep and he wanted to have the last word. He grabbed you. He physically restrained you. And then when you resisted, he hit you. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And he immediately starts apologizing. Okay, now he's love bombing you. And he just lost it. You don't just lose it. That's not a thing that happens. He made a choice. He felt like you were gaining control in the relationship. He didn't like that. He tried to regain control. He made a choice to use aggression. And he said, oh, it'll never happen again. They always say that. They always say it'll never happen again because they want to reel you back in until you're more stuck. The next morning, he acted like it was no big deal and blamed you for being dramatic. Now he's gaslighting you, telling you that it's your fault. No, his actions are not your fault. They're his own responsibility. He chose what he did. You did not cause it. No. And then you try to explain your side, say, that made me feel really unsafe. And he brushes you off and says it's just one mistake. It's more gaslighting. No. You're right. This isn't something that you can forget, that you should forgive and move on from. No. He crossed the line. He changed the essence of the person he was to you when he chose to use violence against you. You are not overreacting. You are right. Get out while you still can. Get out before it gets worse. The gold box comment says, not overreacting. You need to leave now. Oh, it's a long one. Okay, it's a long one, but I'll go ahead and read it because I think it's a good one. You need to leave now. Not only is what he did unforgivable and unjustifiable, but the fact he is now acting like it's no big deal and you're overreacting proves he doesn't think what he did was wrong. Yes. He's not sorry about it, and therefore he will have no worries about doing it again. Because to him, it's no big deal. And then a slap turns into a punch, or grabbing you and shoving you against a wall, or throwing items at you to physically injure you, choking you. It will only escalate and continue to get worse. Plus, this was brought on by a minor disagreement, yet he says he just lost it. He'll be even worse when you have a more serious argument. Often abusers can put on a mask and act like the best boyfriend in the world to make you fall in love with them, make you feel safe, and then they only start to show you their abusive behaviors when they feel like they have you trapped. Abuse often starts at times like you moved in together and can't afford to leave immediately and get your own place. So you're stuck staying with him till you can save up money or find somewhere to go. But you could be tied into a lease, meaning you can't just leave. Although some landlords will let you break the lease in domestic violence situations. You become pregnant. They feel once you're pregnant, you're more trapped as you rely on their income because you've had to give up work to care for the baby, or you won't afford to move out alone with the baby. You get engaged. Again, they feel like they have you trapped. After you get married, once you're married, they think you're unlikely to leave, especially when there are religious aspects to the relationship. And if you don't have a support system like friends or family, or they live far away, etc. Abusers often try to trap you so you're reliant on them financially and don't have your own income. So they either tell you to quit working because he earns enough to cover the bills, or if you have a baby and not working, you don't have money of your own to save up to move out, etc. You're reliant on him as he controls the money. There are lots of reasons why abusers pretend to be great, perfect, loving boyfriends until they feel they have you trapped and less likely to leave. But the fact he's brushing it off so easily today and acting like it's no big deal and you're overreacting for being so upset is a huge red flag. Even if he is full of apologies and promising to never hurt you again, etc., I'd still say leave. But the fact he sees nothing wrong with his actions proves he's even more likely to do it again in the future and progress to worse violence. And if you let him get away with it without any consequences, he'll see that as another reason he can do it again. So when he's at work, pack your stuff and leave immediately. Hopefully you have friends or family close by you can go stay with. Then text him and say it's over and to never speak to you, contact you, or come back to your home and to leave you alone, or you'll call the police. You can block him, but it can sometimes be helpful to leave it open so if he texts you anything threatening, you have evidence for police for a restraining order, etc. Any messages, screenshot them and save them in a couple of places like Google Drive, Amazon Photos, iCloud, USB stick, etc. And make sure he doesn't have passwords or access on his devices like a tablet. You don't have to reply to them, and it's best you don't, but save them as evidence of harassment or threats. If you have any marks on your face from him hitting you, take photos, but leave him immediately. He's not safe and will get worse. Yes, this one is a gold box comment. It has 2 diamonds. It has 1,184 upvotes. This comment is gold. Then there is a reply to that comment that says, this is the answer. If he slaps you, he will hit you. If he hits you, he will punch you. It will escalate. There's something in abusers, especially those who have successfully worn the mask for a period of time. Once that first hit comes, it's like they broke the seal. It's almost like they're freed or something. It's terrifying and confusing and really, really awful. Yes, I know this from personal experience. Please go and never, ever look back. Then there's a comment to that one. Plus, if you forgive him and stay, that's a huge message to him that he can get away with it, and you're going to keep putting up with it. It's just one mistake, then 2, then 3, then a way of life. Yes, all of this. I really hope, let's see, this was only posted a day ago, so I really hope that OP has seen these comments and listened to them and is making plans to leave as quickly as possible. Whew, okay. Where are we? Story number 5, I think we're going to go with it. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/AITA_WIBTA_public. AITA for refusing to combine bank accounts with my partner, even though we live together. I'm 28 female and my boyfriend is 29 male. We've been living together for a little over a year now. Things are honestly good for the most part. We split rent and bills down the middle. We take turns buying groceries, and we each cover our own personal stuff. No kids, no major joint purchases yet. A couple weeks ago, he brought up the idea of us fully combining bank accounts. His reasoning is that since we live together and we're basically a family now, it would make more sense to have all the money in one place. I told him I'm fine with opening a joint account just for bills and shared expenses, and we could both put in equal amounts every month. But I really don't want to merge everything. I like having control over my own money, and I've been saving aggressively for years. Here's the thing. He's not terrible with money, but he does have around $5,000 in credit card debt, and he tends to spend a lot on impulse buys like electronics, random Amazon stuff, and eating out. I'm the opposite. I'm more frugal, and I don't want my savings mixed in and slowly chipped away because of his habits. When I told him this, he got visibly upset and said it feels like I don't trust him. He also said that if I really see us long term, why would I keep my money separate? And that it's like I'm preparing to leave. I tried explaining that it's not about planning for a breakup, it's about being responsible and protecting both of us. I reminded him I was willing to do a joint account for household stuff, but he said that feels cold and transactional. Since then, he's been kind of distant, and I can tell he's hurt. My sister thinks I'm being smart and that joint accounts are risky when you're not married. My mom, on the other hand, said she and my dad combined accounts early on and it worked fine. So she doesn't see why I wouldn't. Now I'm second-guessing myself. Am I being too cautious? Or am I right to want to keep finances separate until there's a stronger commitment like marriage? I think you're right. I don't think you're being the asshole. I think you are protecting yourself. You understand that you two have very different spending habits. It really sounds like he's the one who stands to gain something from you guys combining finances, and you have more to lose. Like you said, he has debt and you've been saving aggressively, which to me also says that you don't have debt. So I think his expectation is that if you combine, he gets access to all of your savings as well. And I don't like that you have saved that independently of your relationship. Yeah, you're right. Keep your finances separate. I think creating a separate jointly held account just to put equal amounts in for bills is fair. I think that could make things easier. But I don't think it should all just be in one pot. You're not married. Even if you were married, you're not required to combine finances. That is a choice that you get to make. And based on this and the way that he's being cold about it, I really would want to see you get a prenup before a marriage happened, saying that anything that you had before the marriage would remain yours in the case of a divorce. And that's still not you planning to leave. That is you planning to protect yourself in the event of a worst case scenario, because it is always best to plan for the worst while hoping for the best. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this. It kind of makes me a little bit suspicious of him. So you are right. Go with your gut and keep your finances separate. All right. That is, I think, 5 stories for this week's episode of Was I in the Wrong? Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Misty Morrison podcast. I love talking to you guys. I will see you next time. Bye.